go wild, go crazy for Mr. Femi Oluwole!
Everything seems to be going really well, doesn't it? Really, really well, right? Some of you may not know that I used to work in Brussels. I used to work for a charity that focused on human rights abuses in the Gulf states, so Saudi Arabia, Bahrain. And so I was watching the UK send weapons to Saudi Arabia that were being used to kill hospitals, schools in Yemen, training police officers that would arrest and torture human rights defenders in Bahrain. And I was working alongside British members of the European Parliament, basically pushing back on this, saying that we need to have an arms embargo, we need to respect human rights. So that was in 2015, and I already felt like I was involved in a battle for the soul of the UK that involved the EU and David Cameron at the time. That was before I'd even heard of the word Brexit. So when I started fighting Brexit at the start of 2016, it wasn't because of economics, it was because I was terrified of what would happen to human rights in the UK if the Tories were left to themselves. How are things looking now? Dominic Raab, on record as saying he wants to scrap the Human Rights Act, that he doesn't believe in economic and social rights, that feminists are among some of the worst bigots, is now in charge of our human rights. He's our Justice Minister. Priti Patel, they produced a race report, a report on racism in the UK, that was so bad, the United Nations said that it normalizes white supremacy. It talked about slavery as if it was a cultural exchange that's talking about how African people remade themselves into culturally British. That's what's happening now. They've got a new law that's going to effectively ban protests by setting noise limits. So yes, it turns out it was correct to be worried about what would happen to human rights in the UK under the Tories outside of the EU. But on the economics, well, Boris Johnson, about a couple of months ago, he sat and talked about what was happening to Northern Ireland. He said that it's been difficult to get to potted plants and tractor parts, and there's been an inability to get the chilled meats and even kosher meats for the Jewish community. And they were now talking about an exodus of the Jewish community from Northern Ireland. You know you've messed up when the leader of your political project has to start fishing out vocabulary from the Old Testament to describe what you've done to your country. And it's not just us Remainers complaining. That's Boris Johnson saying this stuff. And if you look at the people that Brexit was supposed to help, fishermen, it was January that they went down to Parliament and were protesting that it was damaging the fishing industry. Stories about how some of them have turned to alcohol, fear losing their homes. Farmers now angry about the deal with Australia that will basically wipe out the UK farming industry. The people who wanted Brexit, the DUP, oh my God, the DUP. The Unionist Party of Northern Ireland that split the Union. It is a joke. And we can all see what's happening with the petrol situation, with no milkshake in McDonald's, no chicken in Nando's, and we know that Brexit has played a role, because even though COVID has played a major part, Brexit made us vulnerable to that. And as far as Northern Ireland goes, we have to remember this was an issue that was just not discussed even close to enough in 2016. Theresa Villiers was the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland in 2016, went on Sky News and said that it wasn't an issue because the border arrangements in Northern Ireland have been roughly consistent for the last 100 years. Sorry, what? Good Friday Agreement, that's like a thing! And as a result, we ended up in 3 years of negotiations, largely around Northern Ireland, and here we are with Boris Johnson saying, yet again, as of yesterday, we've had to have another extension. Why? Because he knows the damage that Brexit would do if it kept on going. We spent 3 years trying to stop this because we knew the damage. He accused us of unpatriotic dither and delay. Now he's the one refusing to get Brexit done. Are you kidding me? And whenever I argue with the Brexiteers, I mean, I was talking to Karen Malone and she was saying, yeah, we won't be able to have turkey this year, but we'll have something else. And that's the thing. For 3 years, we were called the people of Project Fear. That we were the ones offering fear, and the Brexiteers were offering hope. Right now, we're the ones saying that this country deserves better. We shouldn't have to go without turkey, without chicken, without milkshake, without petrol. We are the ones saying that things need to get better. And how do we make things better? And how do we do that? Ultimately, in 2019, we'd had this argument for 3 years, and we were given a choice. We tried to get a second referendum. Parliament refused to give us that. And what happened in that election? 52% of votes went to parties committed to a second referendum. 43.9% went to the Tories in favour of Brexit. We only had one chance as a country to give a say on that deal. And with a country majority voted no. And to say that you can base Brexit on the legitimacy of the first referendum is like saying, you signed this contract, it had 4 words, leave the European Union, we've added 700 pages of international treaty, and that counts as consent, 3 years later. The problem is our voting system. Under this current system, in that election, the Tories got 44% of the vote, 56% of the seats. Labour, 32% of the votes, 31% of the seats. Do the maths. Tory votes worth 24% more than Labour votes. Compared to Green votes, 18 times more than Green votes. How can you solve a climate change crisis if Tory votes are worth 18 times more than Green votes? We have an incredibly unfair system. So we will not get a proportional vote, we will not get actual progressive politics until we get a progressive voting system. Because we are better than what we're seeing right now. In every election, except for 3 elections since the Second World War, the majority has voted for parties to the left of the Conservative parties. We are a progressive voting country, but our system does not let us show that. We are better than this. We deserve to be better than this, and the way we change that is by getting the parties on the left to work together so we can truly be better than this. Thank you.